When considering adding fractions, we'll have a look at the case where we've got two mixed numbers. Now the rules that we're about to see apply to any fractions, because the first thing to do would be to change these mixed numbers into improper fractions. 2 3/4 will become 11 over 4 because we multiply the whole number 2 by 4 and then add 3 to get 11, so it's 11 over 4. And we multiply the whole number 1 in the second fraction by 5 to get 5 and then add 1 to get 6, so it becomes 6 over 5. The question now becomes how we add these fractions together, and it's not quite clear. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at a very simple case before we come back to this original problem. Let's consider a fraction of 2/3, and we've highlighted those 2/3 in green, and we'll add that to the same fraction, 2 over 3, which was shown here in orange. This is quite a straightforward example, because if you look at the diagram now, you can see that together we've got 4/3. 2 plus 2 equals 4, and we label that as 4/3. What about if we've got a different set of denominators? So we've again got 2/3, but this time we've got 1/4 shown in red. How do we add these fractions together? What we need to do is identify a common fraction, or in this case a common denominator. So we're going to change the quarters to twelfths. We can see we've cut up the quarter of a circle there in red into 3 parts. That makes it twelfths instead of quarters. And we've cut the thirds, shown in pink, into 4 parts, and that also makes them twelfths. So altogether, because we're talking about a common denominator which is twelfths, we can see we've got 8 twelfths in pink, 3 twelfths in red, and altogether, adding them up, we've got 11 twelfths. So now back to our original problem. To go through the process of adding fractions, we need common denominators. The question then is, how do we actually do that? Well, one way is to find the lowest common multiple of the denominators that are present, in this case 4 and 5. It might be wise to pause here and see if you can find the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5. Another way to find common denominators is to simply multiply the denominators that are in front of you. So in this case, 4 multiplied by 5. Now that's going to end up as 20, which happens to be the same as the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5. It doesn't matter which method you use, as long as when you go through and add your fractions together, at the end of the problem you simplify if necessary, and both of those methods will work. So let's have a look at how we change the fractions to their common denominator. In the first fraction, we've shown in red that if we multiply the denominator 4 by 5, we have to do the same to the top line, so that becomes 11 multiplied by 5. In the second fraction, if we change the denominator 5 by multiplying it by 4, likewise the top line 6 must also be multiplied by 4. When we do this, we can see that the first fraction becomes 55 over 20, and the second fraction becomes 24 over 20. We now have our common denominators. All we need to do in the next step is to add the numerators together. So 55 plus 24 is 79 over 20. When you get to your final answer, you need to look to simplify. So is there a number that goes into the top and bottom line so we can reduce those to smaller numbers? Alternatively, you might want to express your answer as a mixed numeral. That's not essential, but if you were to express 79 over 20 as a mixed numeral, 20 goes into 79 3 times with 19 left over. So the result would be 3 and 19/20ths.